I've lost track of time.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like 8 in the morning at home, so.
Wow, really? I just come back from Florida, so I know the feeling.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
the jet lag. So, Grace, then, tell us a bit about, for those of us who haven't seen Bitten on the site, folks, it's not over here yet, what can we expect from Bitten?
Bitten's based on this New York Times bestselling book series by Kelly Armstrong. She's a Canadian author, and basically the series picks up where Elena Michaels is the only known female werewolf, and she's left the pack, and the pack includes myself, Clay Danvers, who bit Elena and turned her into a werewolf, and Jeremy Danvers is our pack alpha, and then there's other pack members as well. So she's trying to live a normal life in the city as a werewolf, which, as you can imagine, would be hard. And there's been a recent uprising of mutt activity, which are the bad werewolves, in Stonehaven, where we live. And Jeremy calls upon her to help us because she's our best tracker. And that's kind of where the series picks up. But, you know, for any kind of fan of the genre fans, the show's got everything you would look for in a show. It's sexy, it's action-packed, it's violent, it's gory, it's intense, and it's got something for everybody. Yeah.
And was that the kind of thing that made you want to get involved in the show? Was the fact that it was kind of different from other werewolf shows we've had? It was more adult, patronised viewers, and kind of gave us a really kind of fun but more adult werewolf show.
Yeah. It's our show really is more about the relationships and the pack dynamic and the loyalties to the pack and these love triangles. Yes, we're werewolves, but it's more about how we deal with being werewolves. That's my answer.
And for you then, how did you want to get into acting? What made you decide that you wanted to pursue this part? Because acting is, as many people may not know, it's quite hard life sometimes, because you're working, not knowing when your next job's going to be, you have to be going from job to job, with sometimes long periods of waiting in between. So what made you decide to think, well, I'm going to take this life up?
I fell into it accidentally, I was going into my grade 12 year high school, and I needed an extra arts credit in order to graduate, and there was a few options. There was arts and music. Art and music, and one of the classes was acting, so I decided to take it, and I really enjoyed it, and I told my parents about it, and they spread the word, and I grew up on a small island, so it's a very small community, and just by chance, a woman that my mom worked with, her sister was an agent in Vancouver, Canada, BC, and so I flew over on a little seaplane to go meet her, and I've been with her ever since. So we've just been kind of picking away at it. I mean, you kind of have to have thick skin and really stick to it. I started doing this 9 years ago, so it's, yeah.
I do find it's it can be very dynamic times. You can move from one place to another, to work in, for example, or maybe you do long term, the next week you might have to go into LA. How do you live in the dynamic nature?
That's what I love about it. I kind of get antsy if I'm in one place too long. I mean, Vancouver will always be my home. I love Vancouver. I don't know if anyone's been there. It's beautiful and it's laid back and it's beaches and mountains. And it's a nice place to come home to and not always be home, but I need to get away and see the world. And it's fun, to be honest, I don't know if I would ever have come to Birmingham. It's just not one of those destinations, but I'm so happy that I get to come here, and it's a cool part of the job that I'm here, and I got to see the city. My girlfriend and I went downtown last night and got to check it out, and went to a couple pubs and had some properly poured pints. We don't have the pump pint thing. Everything in Canada is pressurized and highly carbonated, but you got these sweet working the handle there. So, but yeah, that's part of You get to discover these cool pockets of life and little areas that you might not go to otherwise.
So you never see the world as much as you have down there.
Sorry?
You don't have the acting open that up, you know?
Totally, yeah. I've always had that in me. It's just acting allows me to do it, right? So it's.
And so werewolves being involved in acting as well. We see them in movies and all sorts of stuff. What do you think makes the werewolf transformation different than in other shows?
Well, the kind of werewolf world that Kelly Armstrong created is really interesting. It's not the traditional, full moon changes you into a werewolf thing. It's any of the baser instinct senses can bring on the change, whether it's sexual urges or hunger or fear or anger. They can bring it on unwillingly, and then as you become a more well-trained werewolf, for lack of a better term, you learn how to control these urges. But it makes for an interesting show too, because you never know when it's going to happen sometime, and especially for Elena, it can happen in very in situations where you really wouldn't want it to, because you're having sex with your human boyfriend, and all of a sudden you're going to change into a wolf. It doesn't go over too well.
And it certainly does open the show up a bit more, doesn't it? Because it allows you to multi-space your shows around night. You can actually have more of a daily interactions with things. You can take in places that maybe traditional werewolf films and shows can't.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of, my character Clay Danvers and Jeremy Danvers, we pretty much stick around Stonehaven. That's our home. I occasionally go and lecture at universities. I'm an anthropologist. But for a lot of the other werewolves, they're abroad and just living with this secret, basically. Logan is a therapist in Toronto, and he's living that life. And Nick is this ladies' man that travels the world. And it's just cool that they're just trying to live these somewhat normal lives, and they have to occasionally deal with being a werewolf. But
you know that the show get on tour and visit different places. So you can track down different werewolves, that?
Yeah, exactly.
You can show them.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're looking forward to you guys. You would like to show a couple of questions together. Questions to the front?
Lots of sci-fi shows such as House, Smallville, 4400, things like that. What's been your favourite? What would you like to do in the future?
Well, other than Bitten, which has been my favorite for sure by far, but as far as smaller guest stars I've done, I just did a small guest star on Supernatural, which was a ton of fun. They filmed that show in Vancouver, where I live, and they're doing their 9th season now, which is basically as long as I've been an actor, and I've been dying to get on the show for all that time, and it's just sometimes it doesn't work out. The right audition doesn't come, or the right parts don't come up. But finally, I got on the show, and I got to play a vampire, which was a ton of fun. I just shot that a couple weeks ago, and that should be out in April or May, but that was great. And the two leads, Jared and Jensen, are like the sweetest guys ever, so it was a ton of fun, yeah. For those who haven't read the books, it's a big thing that Clay Danvers, he calls Elena darling. It's a thing. I think there's even maybe a tattoo with darling on a leg.
Is there?
Oh yeah.
Did you get how that goes in here?
Oh, and maybe someone's signature.
Oh, you signed it though. I'll say you signed it.
Yeah. Come on, show it.
Signed it. Right below the tattoo. That's awesome.
Totally awesome.
That was a surprise. Did you ask me to sign?
First leg I've signed.
There you go.
Yeah. I wish I had. People have been asking me that all day, and I wish I had an answer. I don't even know if it's certain that it will yet. And if it does, I'm assuming it'll be on Sci-Fi. I wish I had a better answer. I know it definitely has to continue airing or finish its airing in Canada and the US, which is our 11th episode just aired, so there's only 2 left. And then after that, we go up on Netflix in North America. And I wish I had a better answer. Sorry. Follow us on Twitter, and there's always developments and stuff, and yeah, I'll let you know. And also, if anyone had pictures today, #RenewBitten. It really helps get the buzz going for the show, and the network and stuff always looks at that kind of thing, so it's appreciated. Anyways.
#RenewBitten, remember that. RenewBitten. If you also want to start #Bitten from the UK, that's also fine.
Yeah.
So you can come back using more of the London development. But for you though, what do you think has been the most fun you had on the set of Bitten?
Other than walking around naked a lot, like, well, sorry, not completely naked. I wear a sock, basically. But I grew up in this small island called Salt Spring on the west coast of Canada, and it's a pretty free-spirited type of place. A lot of artists and hippies and musicians and farmers, and so I kind of grew up just being like my friends and I would just go swimming naked and do that. So I was fairly comfortable on set. The first scene I shot of the show, my very first scene, they're like, all right, we need you to be naked. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll just go totally naked. And they're like, well, no, for the comfort of the crew, we'd like you to put this sock on. But yeah, that's fun. And the fight scenes are a lot of fun. It's something kind of new to me, so I really enjoyed doing the fight choreography and showcasing werewolf strength.
I think you just broke a few free massage on the But in terms of stuff like that, though, I mean, do you find that the directors are surprised when you say, yeah, I'm quite hard with that? Because one day, a lot of guys in the top of the league are very something like, oh, no.
I don't know. I never thought about it. I just don't give a crap. I don't know. We're all born naked, so.
What is it like to work with Laura?
Sorry?
What's it like to work with Laura?
Laura's great, yeah. She's, you guys probably recognize her from, she plays Supergirl on Smallville. And she was on V, and it was cool to, I knew of her, and when I was close to booking the role, they flew me out to Toronto to do a chemistry read. So basically, it's down to me and two other guys up for the role of Clay. And you go in, Laura was already cast, and you go into a room and you do some scenes with her, and they're just looking for a general chemistry. And right off the bat, we got along, and we laughed at each other, and it was super comfortable from the get-go, which it needs to be, because that relationship is so complicated, and you really have to trust the other actor. There's a lot of emotions that we go through over the course of the season, and it's nice to have a fellow actor, a castmate that is on the same page as you, and then trusts you, and you trust them. So yeah, she's great. She's hilarious and fun. She's got a really dry sense of humor. It's like a platonic relationship that we have. It's completely brother-sister, which makes it a lot easier, because if you have to be naked next to someone on set a lot and you're actually attracted to each other and into each other, it would get pretty awkward fast, I would assume.
That would be quite a challenge there. Any questions for anyone?
Down in front. Sorry, can you just look?
There's a few scenes where you have to
cry. How do I go there? How do I go there? I don't know, it's just kind of trying to be in the moment. I mean, there's a scene where I'm interrogating a mutt, and we're kind of opening up to each other, and then I'm crying, and then I cut his balls off. And when on paper it seems like a hard, tough scene to bust a tear, but the other actor, Noah Danby, who played this Kane character, he's such a great actor, and we just kind of connected with each other, and it really helps when you have a great actor to work off of. It's kind of easy to drop into that emotion, so yeah. Did you see the balls cutting off scene? Yeah. Spoiler! Ish.
And you also mentioned the series based on a book, a series of books. Have you had a chance to actually meet the author and talk about what her thoughts on the show and her thoughts on where the characters would go?
Yeah, I've only met her once, and it was about a week or so before the show was going to air. In Toronto, we did this whole press tour for a couple of days, and it kind of culminated in this dinner with all the executives from the network, and Kelly Armstrong was there. And yeah, it was interesting to pick her brain. I don't think I would have wanted to prior to filming, just because she has obviously strong, feelings about her book and her characters. But we had a great chat, and she definitely was digging what I was doing, and was really happy with it. And yeah, it was interesting to talk to her about. Yeah.
It must be something nice as well to have Kelly's kind of approval as well, because a lot of shows that they based on books sometimes can be more bored or anything like that.
Yeah, no, it was nice for sure. Yeah.
The last thing I was her fans against you becomes awful.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of people that they might have dreams of loving it or dreams of wanting to work on the show such as this. What would you say is one of the biggest things that you learned from your experiences in the last 9 years?
Persistence pays off, I guess. I don't know. You kind of have to stick with it and have thick skin. There's a lot of rejection, and the rejection is for many reasons that are out of your control. Like, you can't take them personally. I mean, I've not gotten roles because my eyes are green. It's like really, it's that stupid sometimes, especially in the television world. They're very specific and it's very image based. It's image first, and then can you also act, kind of, a lot of the times, especially in the American world. But you just got to realize that there's, you have to be approved by producers and network and a ton of people. So you're going to get rejected most of the time, and you just have to keep at it. It took me 9 years to get a lead in the series, basically, right? I mean, I've been working for 9 years, but to get my first lead in a series took 9 years, so you kind of have to just stick around. Some people get it in a year, and lucky them, but most of the time it takes a little longer.
Do you think, as you became a lead 9 years ago, that you would have been as ready as you are now?
As ready? No, I remember thinking about that when I was younger. It's really hard to picture where you're going to be, especially when you're an actor, because everything's out of your control. Like, if I went to school and say I wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer even, you can kind of, pick a point you want to get to and pretty much get there, right? If you're really good at what you do and you're, you study and you're professional, you can pretty much get there. But like, you can be the best actor in the world, and there are a lot of amazing actors out there that don't get any work and, never get there, but want to get there. So I'm just happy I got to where I'm at, and I don't take any of it for granted, and it's just nice to be here. So. Sorry?
You're living your life happily free.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got time. All the questions here. Is this
Twitter question.
It says, what is your favourite fight scene to film?
Fight scene? There's actually the episode that just aired in Canada last night, episode 11. I am at Philip's apartment, who is Elena's boyfriend in the city, for those of you who haven't read the book. And I'm basically protecting him because I know that she cares about him from 2 months. And I'm fighting off basically two guys at the same time. And it's just, the choreography, we had a great stunt coordinator, and he choreographed this incredible fight scene. It's very long. It took us like 9 hours to film, and it's I've seen the cut of it and it looks incredible. It's a ton of fun.
Do you watch Game of Thrones, and who's your favourite character?
I have seen Game of Thrones. Yeah, I've only seen the first season. I loved it. It's such a beautiful show, and the sets are so amazing. Favorite character? Oh, I watched it a couple years ago now. I really like Ned Stark. I mean, the main guy. What's his name? What's the actor's name? What is it? Thanks, Sean Bean. Yeah, he's fantastic. I think he dies, doesn't he? Don't they kill him or shit? No spoilers. We're way past that, right?
Yeah.
I'm slow. My girlfriend and I just tried to binge watch Breaking Bad, and we did, but trying to do it without because everybody's seen it, and we're like years later, and there's always spoilers. You don't even realize, you can't even talk about it because someone will give you a spoiler when you're watching it. Anyways, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's incredible.
I have a little question on this for a second. There's still quite a lot of text. The play seems to go from these hopefully these spoilers from two extremes. From someone who can kill with very little feeling, to someone who can be heartbroken over his love life. Was that fun to play, or was it kind of hard to switch between the two different characters?
Yeah, definitely going to the violent side was the challenge for me. I'm a pretty sensitive guy, so going on that side is easier for me. I've never been, I was talking about this yesterday, I've never been in a fight in my life. Like, I've actually never punched somebody, like, in the face and meant it. Like, played around with my mates, but I've never hit anybody, or I've never been hit. So finding that violence was an interesting challenge, but fun. I mean, you always want to play characters that have two extremes, you know, to go from, you know, crying because you cut someone's balls off to, you know, breaking necks. You know, it's like, it's fun to play.
Do you prefer playing the father, son, and Jeremy, or the brothers of the Nick? Which is the most more difficult for you with it all?
I like doing scenes with these guys.
Yeah.
It's the great thing about the show is it's fun to do scenes with everybody for different reasons. Like, that's why it's such a well-written show, and why the books are so great, because there's such a different dynamic between each character, you know? You know, between me and Jeremy, it's, you know, I have this just ultimate loyalty to him. He saved me from the swamps when I was 6 or 7, like young, and domesticated me and, you know, turned me into basically a functioning human rather than just a rabid child werewolf in the bushes. So I have this ultimate loyalty to him, and then I have this passion towards Elena. She's like my ever and only love. And then, you know, amongst the pack, there's just a broad loyalty, right? The pack rules above all else, which is interesting to play, because it's like, it forces you to ask the question, like, does it rule above love? And in some cases it does, but there's always this inner conflict of, you know, is it the pack, or is it the woman I love, or, you know, it's juicy stuff.
And did you read up on werewolves before we actually took the role? Did you actually kind of do any research on werewolves, and other than shooting the books as well?
No, because I read the book, I read Bitten, but each, you know, there's so many different versions of the werewolf world, right? I really like Kelly Armstrong's version of it, but as far as like preparing for the role, I read Bitten, but I read a lot on just wolves and behavior of wolves themselves, because, you know, in her books, when you turn into a wolf, you're basically just a wolf, right? You're just at one with nature, and it's kind of a catharsis, you know, it's like a release to become this wolf, and we always feel like you need to change, right? If you haven't changed in a while, you just need to get it out of your system. But one thing I did in particular, when I was going to Toronto to screen test, when I was close to booking the role, Vancouver, there's mountains surrounding the whole city, basically, in the ocean. So there's all these hiking trails, and I went up with my buddy's dog, and I took all my clothes off, left him in my backpack, and left the trail, and myself and my buddy's dog just ran around naked for the dog's obviously naked always, but I ran around naked, and just howled in the forest, and for a couple hours, and just kind of got that into my system. And, you know, I guess it helped because I got the role, but
yeah, that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really interesting stuff to play. Like, we still bring some of the wolf qualities into our human form. Like, for instance, there's a scene in the second episode where we all sit down at the dinner table. Elena's just gotten back to Stonehaven for the first time in a couple of years, or a year, and a year, you probably know. And we all sit down to eat, and we have piles of meat and stuff, and it's, you know, there's a hierarchy in the pack of wolves, right? And pack alpha is supreme. So we all sit down, and nobody can eat until Jeremy eats. And that's one of my favorite scenes, actually. We all sit down, and the food's right ready for us, and we all just kind of look at Jeremy, and we're waiting to dig into our meal, and just, you know, kind of gives us the nod. And so we bring things like that into our human form. And then also just eye contact, which is something I read a lot about. You know, for dogs, it's very intimidating to stare down in the eyes, right? So a lot of times there are scenes, like if Jeremy's berating me or he's mad at me, it's a stare down, right? And whoever looks down first submits. Most of the time it's going to be me, obviously, because I'm the pack alpha, but you can really challenge with your eyes, which is, you know, as an actor, is gold. So.
To another level, you're acting to just using physical movements, but also your arms.
Yeah. A lot of the eyes, yeah.
So we've got time for one more question for the race.
Anything. Ask me like some algebra or
you said the algebra is standing up now, a bit worried. We're going to get algebra.
Basically, about 2 or 3 episodes ago, you had 2 characters coming on books. Are you going to let them write books in your way, or?
Sorry, 2
So you can, like, very much like this sort of like, Anthony Pettis and Jeremy Stillman coming in on stage. Maybe more characters for them.
Bringing any more forward? Bringing any new character? I can't hear. I'm gonna come over. It's this. It's so. Blood. Yeah. Gotcha.
The last question, are you bringing, you brought some characters in the books, are you bringing any more in?
There are definitely some surprises, and you'll be surprised by some characters that we kill that aren't killed in the books. But I'm gonna say no. But there are some. There's a big surprise. Somebody who's died might not be dead. Boom, boom, boom.
There you go. I think that's a great way to keep handled today. Leave everybody thinking. So let's please join me in a massive round of applause to Braxton Hall.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming out. It's really nice to have support in the UK here. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And don't forget, hashtag the new Bitten as well. Don't forget to use that on Twitter so we can